What is going on, good people? I'm here with David May, listener to the podcast, here for Business Breakthrough with May Painting. Just want to welcome you, David, man. Tell me a little bit about what's going on in the business, brother. Tell me what's going really well. What's an area of improvement?
Yeah, so I'd say so I'll just give you a quick update here. So yeah,
Sure.
last year was kind of like, all right, I left my job and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna start painting.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, well, Facebook and Facebook groups was getting some job. I think I did like 57K, and then I was also doing like gig work and stuff just on the side. And then this year we did like 150, and it wasn't really without doing anything. You know what I mean? It was like I felt like we did that without doing anything. It was kind of just like gliding. So like really like I'm going into this next year like, yeah, I really want to like dial in, man. Like I really want to figure out systemize. There's been some issues with, I have my brother as an employee. I'm probably overpaying him. I got a friend that's also working with me, and they're also doing like seasonal work right now, so I'm on my own right now. But yeah, I just want to dial in everything, man, from marketing, from I think I've had some issues with estimating, being consistent with that. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of a little bit of a run around there.
Yeah, man. So tell me, do you have a team? Is it you? Is it,
Yeah, yeah. So this past year, the production's basically been me, and then my younger
okay.
brother, and then basically my best friend.
Okay. So the production team's been you, your younger brother, and your best friends. If you've heard me say anything about that, it's been luck, and
Yeah.
and usually it starts that way, man. Don't feel bad. I had, dude, if you would have seen my crew when I first started, man, these were people that I think I messaged on Facebook I hadn't seen in
Hmm.
2 years. You do what you got to do. I mean, let me ask you this though, like
Yeah.
what problems do you think you're running into right now because of that? Like what are some
Yeah.
problems that you're running into? Let's start
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I think for one, you have that relationship with your brother, and there's kind of
Yep.
unrealistic expectations to family. So
Yeah,
we've
man.
had some tough time. We've had some days where there's been some ego checking and some, hey, you're my brother. I
He's
don't,
your younger.
young
He's your younger brother.
younger brother. Yep. But still, there's been days where we've clashed. And then there's
So it
like,
could be worse. He could be your older brother.
correct, because we have an older brother. And then there's days, yeah, and then there's that kind of like, okay, well, I've helped you build this thing, so you ought to pay me this much, and
Yeah,
all this stuff. But I want
can't
to
get the money.
move more into what you guys talk about, which is like systemized paying. Like, hey, apprentice, painter one, painter two can
Yeah,
spray,
yeah.
painter three can run a
Well,
job. You know
let's
what I
talk
mean?
about your
Yeah,
brother because this
yeah,
this is core. This is core right here. Like,
yep,
is he bought in the vision? Like, is this what he wants to do? Like, or is he just helping out and you're just paying
yeah.
him like,
The week all
yeah?
year round.
Everyone's problem is going to be keeping the schedule busy because if you
Hmm.
can't keep painters busy, then they're not going to work for you. And you don't hire people and promise them 40 hours a week if you can't promise yourself 40 hours a week, right? So, what did you do before this? What was your job?
Yeah, so I started out on my actual career out of high school in culinary, and then I just was introduced to painting by an awesome guy I met in Chicago, and then like fathers, father and mother growing up. So another thing with the business I want to add is a certain percentage of all the sales to go to something like that, something
Interesting.
like that. So I
Well,
want
all
to
right. So there's
incorporate
a
that.
so man, so good. We have a good purpose. All right. So how are you with money?
I feel like I'm a pretty teachable guy, so I'm always like trying to learn, man. And
Are
yeah,
you are you are you like do you understand like when you get money from a job like are you diligent in how you distribute those resources or do you feel like you lack discipline in that area?
I think that could be. Give me an example.
Well, if you get paid for a job, are you able to pay all your guys? Are you able to pay off Sherwin-Williams or are you behind on that? And are you able to pay your bills and keep some in the bank?
Okay, so I'm able to pay off all my guys, pay all my Sherwin, pay my bills, and not have much money left over.
That's because of the inconsistency in the work.
Correct,
Okay.
correct, correct.
But some people just don't have financial discipline, right?
Right,
So
right.
this is the core element of building a long-lasting business is financial discipline. And also understanding that when you're playing a game that revolves around how much money you can make. It also you have to understand that the only way you make money is with money, right?
Right.
It's a
Right.
money. It's
Yeah.
money, right? So,
Mhm.
so there's this element that you weren't taught in culinary school. I took culinary class. They didn't cover this,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
that's this other thing that I failed to mention, right? Because you told me that you were able to pay your guys, pay the vendors, pay your bills. You're not saving much, which what does
Right.
that mean? That means that we're not reinvesting back into the business,
Mhm.
right? So if you know what you need to reinvest in, it's a lot easier to set that as a target. I didn't know what to reinvest in, right? I just knew that my phone was ringing. I had a job. I'd go do the job. I'd get paid. And during that time that I'm working on the job, I wasn't selling. I
Mhm.
wasn't marketing. I wasn't networking, right? So I want you to visualize your business as an entity and you work for that entity and you need to nurture it, dude. Like the first year is just planting seeds, nurturing it. The sun's hitting it, dude. You're tilling the dirt and
Mhm.
pulling the weeds, and eventually, I promise you, it'll start to grow. And then
Yeah.
eventually there'll be fruits from what it does produce. Okay.
Right.
So what I want you to understand is a few things. The first thing is that you have to have financial discipline. The second thing is leverage debt early on. All
Mhm.
right. So how do you feel about debt? What is debt? When I say that, what does that mean to you?
Well, I'm somewhat of influenced by Dave Ramsey, if you know who that is. But no, I still, yeah, no, I'm okay with smart debt to
Okay.
make money, man.
So that's good because when I hear Dave Ramsey, I know that generally debt is the devil, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and I
Right.
understand that in a certain regard. But you're playing in a game where the stakes are high, and you're in a safe. This is a safe bet. You have a service based business in an
Yep.
economy that
Hmm.
really favors high quality service based businesses. This is a good investment. You operating painting business, right? So we have to leverage debt, and especially early on. Now I'm going to just give just a generalization. Do you have over $10,000 or under $10,000 of exposable income that you could use right now?
Under.
Under over 5,000 or under 5,000?
I usually hang out around 5.
Good. Okay,
Okay.
so we're right there. We have five.
Right.
So how do we get leads right now in your business? Where are you getting these opportunities? Where are they coming from?
Yeah. So I made it a big thing to get some Google reviews right away. So I have 31 5 stars,
Great.
and that's got me. It seems to be more in the busy seasons. That's just ringing
Sure.
off the hook there. And then I'm also doing local Facebook groups. So I'm only doing only free. So just only
Okay.
free advertisement pretty much right now.
Okay. So free advertisement is like sitting on your porch and waiting for someone to walk by,
Yeah.
and then it just so happens that like they want painting. You spark up a conversation and they want
Right.
painting, and you were there in their travels, you know? So this is a random input. So what does
Mhm.
that mean? You're going to get a random output,
Output. Yeah.
right? And that's how it works. It's inputs and outputs, right?
Mhm.
So what I've taught many people is that if we rely on that, the problem that you're going to run into is that you can't be selective when you have that sort of input because you don't know when the next one's going to come. Therefore, what you wind up doing is you wind up taking on whatever comes your way. And this could be a ceiling repair, this could be drywall stuff, this could be small jobs, this could be tedious things. Have you ran into this?
Yes. I just had someone call me or put in a form on my website for like a high up. Right when you walk in, like the what do you call it? Right when you walk in, the super high up. And I'm just like, you know,
Right. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Like again, like these random things. And
yeah.
guess what? Right now it's easy for you to be like, hey bro, don't have any work for you today.
Mm.
You know,
Right now, it's
screw
easy to
off.
say that, and they can find other
It's
work.
super easy.
Yeah,
And they
yeah,
can find other work.
yeah.
But here's the thing, like, dude, you don't want to build these habits on the foundation of,
Right.
essentially just having like an escape route. It's almost like if your boss promised you no matter what, dude, you can come back to work and I won't even be mad. You go start your little business, and if it doesn't work out, you just come right back. Right?
Right.
We know that doesn't happen.
Right.
So it's like when you started your business, obviously you probably severed that relationship. You probably moved on from whatever you were doing before, and there was no turning back, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
essentially,
I left with peace, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna go
you're not going back.
back.
Yeah, you left with peace, but you're an outlier, right? In a
Yeah.
world of employees, you became an employer. Okay,
Right,
so we
right.
know it's different. So
Right.
so in other words, you leveraged uncertainty, right, to propel you beyond what's comfortable. So for me, I think that should be a theme in your dealings in business, is to leverage uncertainty and be okay in uncertainty, especially if I'm talking to a man of faith, right? Because the premise of faith is seeing, and believing what's not in front of us. And I think the first thing you need to do is understand that, like, your money is an indication of your faith, how you spend that money, dude. Like, really. And the first element of it is you got to know where to spend it. You need leads. You can't be on the porch. You need to spend the money on an agency, dude. You need somebody that does this for you. This is not something that David can do himself. We live in a world where everything's changing so fast, right? So the first thing you need to do is go from a spender to an investor, right? So in other words, you just bought May Painting. It's May Painting, right? You just bought May Painting, right? And the first thing you're going to do when you come in is you're going to start saying, okay, well, where do we get our business and how do we get more of that? Because everything starts from there.
Right.
And you might say, okay, I have $5,000. I need to turn this $5,000 into $10,000.
Right.
Okay. Well, you know what? You can't get it in the bank because they're not going to give you any sort of good interest. And naturally, it feels safe to have that cushion. Okay. But you created a vehicle that literally allows you to multiply money, right? So in other words, if we give a marketing agency half that for a month's worth of leads, tell me this, because you've been in the business long enough to know, that's $2,500, brother.
Yeah.
Could you sell a $2,500 job?
Oh, yeah.
So this is the mindset, right? And this is something that you should have been doing. And you need to get comfortable with this, because this is how business works.
Right.
You make money, right? You make money. You set aside money, and that's going to be your investment for the next batch of money. And then you do what you need to do for your operational expenses. But here's the deal. That's first. But the problem here is, man, not only is that important, but again, we're going to leverage uncertainty when it comes to hiring someone you don't know. And this is going to create something in you I cannot describe. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
Because I'm assuming you have never hired someone you don't know before.
Never.
Okay. This is a weird thing. Okay. I'll just be honest with you, right? This is like, it's just like, sounds simple, but it's not. It's like you now take on the responsibilities of someone else. Okay. So do you have any work right now scheduled for Friday, Monday, and Tuesday?
Actually, I don't. I just finished my last job. I have one more on the schedule, which is like really flexible, but I just kind of been taking a little time off right now. And then that's pretty much it. Like a week job
Understood.
I got left in the schedule.
Okay. You have a big vision and a big purpose.
Yeah.
Okay. Taking time off within the first 3 years of your business is not going to bring that to fruition.
Right. Yep.
There's no breaks anymore. You're not in a position to take breaks, because the only reason you're allowing yourself a break is because you're the only employee.
Yeah, it's not much work, right? Yeah, so
I want you to know right now, if you had that guy that I'm telling you to hire, your butt would be on the phone right now, calling customers, exercising muscles that you need in the future when you have 4 crews and you got to get through the holidays.
Oh yeah.
And that's a $1.5-2 million business. Build the muscle now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So although the first thought is like, well, if I hire an employee, how am I going to keep him busy? That's the natural thought. But the real thought should be, if I hire an employee, I'm going to learn how to keep them busy.
Yeah.
No one can teach you that, bro.
Right.
That's just care. That's caring about people, right? Which is a core component of leadership. Do you like leadership?
I do. Yeah. Well, I'm learning about leadership, man. Like I think I'm being challenged. I'm being challenged by my ways. You know what I'm saying? To know that I need to be I'm the kind of guy, maybe I'm like you. I like asking people about their, I like knowing little things. Like, what do you drive? What do you eat for dinner? I just like knowing about people and all parts about them. So maybe that's one thing. What you're going to
start to learn is what's going on in their life and what are their goals and their aspirations and how your business can provide a place of solace for them.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, one of the best feelings in the world is when you put out a hiring ad during Christmas and you can give someone an opportunity, man.
Yeah.
And you can get them a paycheck, right?
Yeah.
This requires uncertainty from day one. You got to spend the money. You got to risk the money. You got to borrow the money. You got to do what you got to do to get your business off the ground. You are in a very competitive game, and you're a little behind right now because you're playing small. You're just waiting for things to come to you. You're kind of probably a little uncertain if what you're building is sustainable, to be honest. I'm telling you, it is. You just have to buy into the idea that David can't do everything. David can't generate leads. Not all the money's yours. Okay. It's not. And you need to leverage uncertainty.
Yeah.
That's going to be the key. Leverage uncertainty. It's a beautiful aspect of business is uncertainty because it forces you to grow.
Yes.
So if you hire that employee, let's watch this scenario play out.
Yeah.
I've done almost 400 of these, bro.
Okay.
I would only say 5% of people actually take my advice. They like hearing it.
Right.
I hope you're one of them. Because
Right.
you have a big vision and a big purpose. Not many people like to talk about God on here. Talk about it. I love it. I think that you have the ability to change lives. You have the ability to create. Dude, there's somebody right now that wants a job and they can't find one.
Right.
And you've been commissioned to create a business that provides work for people, good, honest work for people. That's a big vision.
Yeah.
That's a mission. You could put on an ad today, right now, after this. You could put on an ad right now, and you can learn how to vet applicants, and you can time it, right? So you can put on an ad. You'll get 30 or 40 applicants who want to paint for you because that's just the way our market is.
Right.
You can learn the process of reading those resumes. You could teach yourself how to do phone interviews. You could then organize your system of how you keep track of all these people, right? Mm-hmm. You can learn how to do an in-person interview, and you're someone that is inquisitive. You like to learn what people are about. I bet you could probably read people
pretty well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can identify what to look for in certain individuals of who you want in your culture, who you want to work alongside. Right, and build up a team. And the thing is that if you did this today, you can set a start date of January 2nd.
Right. Yeah.
And push it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then during this time, guess what you would do? You'd do those interviews, boom, 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 boom. And then now you're starting to look into your previous customers. You're going to be resourceful. You're going to hire the marketing agency, right? Mm-hmm. Because you know that you can't generate leads on your own. And we're not just going to we can't sit on the porch.
Right.
The companies that are sitting on the porch are the ones that get a few jobs and think that they're winning. And then guess what? Famine's coming.
Right. Yep.
It's coming. It's coming. Sales is a proactive thing. You know, just because the jobs take long doesn't mean that the business is growing. It means that the clock is ticking.
Right.
So either you're gonna change the cycle that's naturally gonna happen, right? Where you just say, you know what? I don't feel like doing that. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to wait for more business. And you might get a job and you get a 2-week job and you're going to be like, yes, I'm good. I'm good. Well, guess what? After that 2 weeks, you had 2 weeks to be finding the next job. And then you find yourself with a check it's already spent pretty much.
Right.
And then you're in a position where you're not working for 3 to 4 days.
No, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. And you're just, dude, 90% of all painters in the history of the world
live that way.
What I just live that way. And there's like another side to this game where I can sit here and do a podcast with you and have 5 jobs going on. It's a good life.
Yeah.
And it's not, and you know what it comes down to, David? It's just decision making. It's being bold. It's having faith. It's pursuing the purpose. It's being inquisitive, signing up for a coaching, right? Now I'm going to connect you with my network of people that I trust, right? Maybe you might come to Liftoff. I'm doing an online event and you start plugging into the community and then you look around, you're like, dude, all these guys are doing this? What are they doing? I can do this.
Yeah.
I think you might be one of those ones. Dude, I've had a lot of people come on here that are inquisitive like you, and I think you might be one of those guys that could have $1 million, $2 million painting business in 2 to 3 years. You know, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, no, that's what I want, man. So it's like I've noticed the patterns of what's been going on, and then I'm just seeing guys like you from I'm just watching you guys do this. And I'm like, yeah, man, like let's step into this thing, man. Like let's get to know these people.
Yeah, the tide is changing. You're a younger guy. You can adapt to technology well. You got a CRM yet? Yeah,
so I'm literally I'm doing drip jobs like today. Let's roll with it today. However you want to we can set that up, or
I prefer you do a demo, man, so you can understand it, with the free trainings. But there's 3 things you're going to need to be successful. Okay. The first thing is going to be a good software. Okay. I hope that's true.
Yeah.
The second thing you're going to need is a good marketing agency, man, because their job is to be your voice to the marketplace.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
That's all it is, dude. Instead of you sitting on the porch like this, waiting for someone to walk by, that's what's happening right now,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The marketing agency is going to be out in the streets being like, May painting, May painting, you know?
Right.
It's going to attract people, and then they're like, oh, I got one. And then they're going to hand them to you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's worth paying for, bro. It's worth paying for because if they don't do it, then you are responsible to do it. That's it.
Right.
And you don't have the time, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the resources. So use your money to speed things up. That's an investment.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And you want to do that every single month. You just gotta look at money as just like, this is gas. This
Yes.
is not that resource that was so scarce to me growing up, right? That's not that resource that the people around me hold on as tight as they can, because this is the hardest thing about business from someone that wasn't employed, that grew up in poverty. Okay. It's like, I've got to learn how to let this thing go and let it come back bigger. Okay.
But well,
So-
it's scarce because the way that we use it. But when you're saying when you step out and actually use it the right way, which is in somewhat, it's a risk, but it's not a risk if it's in the right place.
It's not, well, I want to be careful with that.
Well, it is still a risk, right?
Well, I'll say this. What you want to understand is that if we look at the biggest risk when it comes to spending our money in business as we might lose it, then we're missing out on an opportunity to understand that even if you do spend the money and you lose it, you learned a lesson.
Right.
And that lesson will stop you from making a bigger mistake in the future.
Right.
Like you are a startup, and in a startup, you waste money, you make mistakes.
Yep.
You have problems that are coming your way, David, that you have no clue about.
Yeah.
That I've already went.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's inevitable. You're going to run into jobs when it comes to people. You're going to have more people problems in the next year than you could fathom in this moment right now. And we need to get the basics figured out, because you need to put on your armor, brother. But you don't want a people problem and a marketing problem.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right.
You don't want a people problem, a marketing problem, and a sales problem.
Right.
You don't want all three, right? I think the only problems I have now are people problems, right? And I can work through those. But when you have all three, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, So action step would be marketing agency, coaching program, software. If you get those three and you find a way to get the money, okay, especially people that I recommend, because I know that they're going to do a good job for you. They're trusted. They don't play about results. You will find yourself in the top 1%, even if that's just a mindset shift. You're going to be pulled to make the decisions that right now seem uncomfortable. Hiring people, spending a lot of money on marketing and getting your brand in front of people, those sorts of things.
Yeah. Great.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Any other questions, man? Anything top?
Yeah, no. So that was, I think, the way that my mind was framing it was obviously, you got to have a lead flow. You got to have a good sales. I've listened to a lot of your stuff on the sales thing. So I did 150 just sending emails. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? To do the estimate, send an email within a day or two, and I know that's going to need to change too. But I think one thing, I don't know if you want to cover, if we have time to cover this, but how would you, I've listened to some of the ways that you also do your estimation and pricing. Has that changed at all for you? Or how would you recommend that a good system just right now to just get estimates out quick and just, you know what I mean? On the job site.
It's not about getting out estimates quick, man. It's about understanding, again, a deep topic, right? Like,
okay.
And dude, leverage is my favorite word.
Okay.
You got to leverage what you got. And I think the best thing you could do right now is build deep relationships with anyone that lets you in their home.
Okay.
You don't need to worry about speed, bro. You need to sell your story. You need to sell your mission. You need to sell the reason why you started the business. You need to tap into the early stage business entrepreneur emotion that people resonate with, bro. I mean, when I first started my business, we sucked. But I was a good salesperson, and I don't say that because I could talk well. I could say that because I was going to fulfill the promise, and people felt it. I said, look, I started this business to help my dad. It's our first few weeks. We could really use an opportunity. We're going to do a great job for you. And if I don't know something, I'm going to find out, and that sort of honesty, man, makes waves. But in terms of what you're asking me for, you're just asking me to figure out pricing, and pricing is essentially difficult because you're taking on anything that comes your way.
Right.
So if you were to start a smoothie shop right now, if I said, "Hey, me and you are going to go into business. We're going to start May smoothies." Okay?
Right.
What do you think the very first thing that we would do when we build our business plan would be? Very first thing.
Very first thing we would do.
Think about it. Just think about sitting in it for a second. It's all right. Take your time. You don't got to rush.
Okay.
What would be, me and you were like, all right, we're going to start a smoothie shop. What are we doing first? First thing.
I guess, I don't know. I guess I'm thinking first, I could be wrong, but it's coming to me is, well, let's figure out, first of all, like let's master the product.
The product, close, right? We're
Okay.
there. The product.
Okay.
We got to make a menu.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah.
Got to make a menu, bro. What business doesn't have a menu, right? So imagine you go to a restaurant with your family and they don't have a menu, and they just say, well, what do you want to eat?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, what do you want? And you're like, well, I actually had a really good cheesesteak in Chicago. Can you do that? And, the server says, I don't know. Let's see. And, they take it back to the chef, and he's like, yeah, I can figure it out. So he's sitting in the back trying to put together this random thing. And then another customer says, well, I had an awesome taco in New Mexico. And he's like, yeah, I guess I'll do it. I mean, we could use the business, and it's like kind of back. Imagine what that kitchen looks like. You know what I'm saying? It'd be crazy.
Right.
Okay. So it's the same thing that's happening in your business. You're just serving one customer at a time. So you have to identify what you're going to specialize in. Are you going to be an exterior specialist? Are you going to be an interior specialist? Are you going to do cabinets?
No.
Are you going to do new construction?
No.
Are you going to do residential interior house painting? Are you going to do ceiling, walls, and trim and doors, right? What are you going to do?
Yeah, so we're going to do residential, interior, ceiling, walls, trim, and doors, and then exteriors. Our biggest job this year was like a huge fence, a metal fence. I'm okay with that, but that's, you know what I mean? Okay. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So sometimes it's also what you say no to.
Yep.
Helps you create the value, right? So
right.
There's this interesting thing. I suggest you look it up. It's called the market segmentation theory.
Okay.
And really what that means is that as markets begin to grow and become more saturated, specialists shine through. So in other words, example would be you go to the doctor in the 40s, right? There'd be a general doctor for the town, and he would work on your teeth. He'd work on, your eyes. He'd work on your ears. And eventually what happened was he was getting so many ear requests that he started saying, you know what, I'm just going to do ears. And he just became really good at ears. And people still went to him, and he didn't have the headache of trying to do everything else. So be known as a specialist in your market. And by doing that, you only offer a certain amount of things, and you have to be okay. Anyone can do this. The hard part is saying no to the money. We talked about your relationship with money, right?
Yeah.
Does it move you, right? Is that what you're in it for? Because if you can learn how to say no, you're going to get more of what you do want. And you have to have that inner strength. If that weird job is calling and they'll hire you, can you say no? Because you're protecting the integrity of your offer, which is really, to me, it's faith, that you get the jobs that you want. So we talked about pricing. If we're doing interior painting, well, how do you know if your pricing's good? You have to do what's called job costing. Have you ever heard of that term?
Yeah. I do job costing. I need to have a more systemized way to do it.
Drip Jobs has it.
Yes, that's going to be great.
It'll be built in.
And then I have the idea that I want around a 50% profit margin. But I also love the way that you talk about like keeping your guys busy and willing to take less of a margin. Like, hey man, sometimes I just didn't make barely anything. My guys stayed busy. So the integrity of my company stays strong. And so I love that, the nuance in that, like, hey, I want to be around 55, 60, but maybe I might have to get a job to be at 40, 35, keep you guys busy. I like that way of thinking.
Yeah, I'll go down to free if I have to. I mean, keeping the guys busy is it's like my word as a boss. Like, it's like, dude, like, I promised you 40 hours. You promised me your time. And, if I don't fulfill my side of the deal, then what does that make me, right? So, that's the driving force. That's why I'm saying I'm leveraging that pressure as a leader to ensure I have proper systems in place, which cost money, time, and resources to ensure that I can make sure that happens. And if I didn't have those people and I had nobody counting on me and I didn't have to answer to, sometimes it would even be their wives, you know, like they want to make sure their husbands are working, dude. You know,
Right,
every now and again, a few of them will text me, you know, and just say, thank you for, keeping us busy. And, that's awesome, man. Like, I don't want to let them down. I don't like letting people down. So, you have a lot in front of you. I will say this, if we talked about a lot, I don't want to overwhelm you. Number one, I'm going to connect you with some resources. Number two, you need a good software.
Yep.
Maybe do a demo drip jobs. I think you'll like it. Number three, learn to say no. And number four, you got to take some sort of action after this call, and I think that needs to be a theme of how you operate as a leader, because no one else is going to care about your business more than you. Dude, you're in the wild now. So like, if you don't put out the ad today because you're like, well, I don't want to spend the money on the ad, that's the problem.
Right.
But if you put out the ad today knowing that, well, maybe you won't hire somebody, but you don't know how to put out an ad yet. Like, you have no clue. Like, you don't know how Indeed works. You haven't learned the process of what applicants even look like. This is a skill you're going to need to learn. Right. So I would start there, man. Is there any
No. Yeah. I'd like,
we hit it.
Yeah. I'd like to get that out there and just start that process. Figure out a system to vet out applicants, and just, that'd be great, just to get that ball rolling. And then obviously the need the jobs to, well, I don't know if we have time for this one quick thing that I had to also cover too. With your production and your SOPs and your production, let's say, use as an example. Okay, you go to a house and there's stress cracks all over the house. Do you guys do all that? I know you said you don't do drywall.
If it can be caulked, we'll do it.
Okay. Okay. So all right. So if it's a little bit,
I tell my guys, if we got to bring out a spackle blade, we don't do it.
And I like that, because I've been doing repairs and stuff, and it's like
it's hurting you. It's not worth it. You need to be bold.
No.
But here's the thing. You got to position yourself as a specialist, dude. You go to any customer and you say, hey, listen, to be honest with you, we're not good at drywall, and I don't want to do anything subpar. We specialize in painting. And if I put any sort of repair together here, you're not going to be happy. So I'd prefer you reach out to a professional drywall specialist.
But so how often do you run into that, though? Like in the years that you were, so what did you do?
All the time. But then you get smart and you start finding drywall guys that you trust, and you refer them. And it's better to say, hey, I have a guy I can recommend. Right? Okay. We don't do stucco. You know how many painting companies have a guy that does stucco repair and it looks terrible?
Right.
Dude, I have one guy. He's like the Picasso of stucco.
Okay.
Like, he can match anything. And it's like, these are things that I look for, because although I might not have the resource, I want that. How much better of an experience is it if you have a professional stucco guy and a professional painter, and it makes a masterpiece, rather than the painter who wants to be greedy and selfish and he's afraid to tell the truth.
Right.
His quality of work goes down. Right. So for me, I'm like, dude, I don't care. I won't take on wood repair. You got wood repair? Let me know when it's fixed. Drywall repair? You got drywall repair? Let me know when it's fixed. And we're in a strong position to do that now. We're a 5-0 company, man. Like, people know that, like, if you want to work with us, we set the terms now. But I've always done that, and I wasn't afraid to lose business. Did I lose business from it? Probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people saw in my quote, like, wood repair not included, and then they had someone else who said wood repair included. Great. Good for them. You did it. Awesome. But guess what? You were stuck on that job doing wood repair, and we were on our next paint job.
Right.
And you had to tell one of your employees to do it, and he didn't sign up for wood repair. He signed up to paint. So, it's just, it's not worth it.
Okay.
I had to learn that lesson early on. So for me, that's what I mean by specializing. Again, like, dude, go to a smoothie shop and ask for, something off the menu. What are they going to tell you? No. They're like, hey,
right.
can you add apricots into my smoothie? And it's like, no, I'm not going to go to the store and get those. We don't do it. And what do they beg you? Like, no, they say, sorry. I mean, and you get angry and then you leave.
Or you just get something else because you're already there.
Or you just get something else. Or actually say, or you just freaking buy it.
Right.
Like,
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'll have to specialize.
Dude. Like, you have to try to simplify your operation so much that, like, because the production is going to hurt you if you don't simplify the production. Just being honest, dude. Like, if you have a complex production system, like, that'll be the detriment of your growth, because like the fact that you're doing interior and exterior is enough complexity.
Yeah.
They're two different businesses, dude. Like painting the outside of the house and painting the inside of the house are two different experiences.
Yeah, it really
two
is.
Different, customer interactions. Like people aren't home when we paint exteriors, but when people are inside, they got to be home. This is crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just that alone is enough for you to be good until you hit $2 million.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Yep.
I haven't painted one cabinet this year, and I won't paint.
No, me either. I love that your view on that. I'm like, yeah. I was like, cabinets are cool.
Cabinets are cool, and I'm sure people will buy them for me, and we get requests for them at least 20 times a year. People will say, hey, can you paint my cabinets? And no, we don't. And you know what I tell them? I say, we don't specialize in it. And they go, okay, thanks for telling me. And I say, you're welcome. And I'm not going to, it's like, I'll get another thing that we're good at, man. So that's how it works, man. That's the mindset. So anyway, did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's really good, man. Thank you.
Cool. David, well, good luck, man. I hope to see you come back on here after some action has been taken. And,
man.
I'd love to see you at Liftoff. We got Liftoff. Have you been to one of our Liftoff?
No, I think I listened. Did you upload it?
Yeah, it was uploaded.
Okay. Yeah.
You listen to a good amount of podcasts.
I've been so I also do some side gig stuff too, and I'll just throw them on while I'm driving there.
Heck yeah.
Just like listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that. So Liftoff is coming up. It's actually registration's open. It's liftoff2025.com. Get an invite to it. It's free. Just come in. We have 24 speakers coming.
Oh wow.
So I try to pull together best people in the industry to give 45 minutes of value, rapid fire, just their best stuff. It's going to be good, man. So hope to see you there.
Okay, man.
All right, brother. Thank you.